The research vessel drifted through the darkness of space like a silver leaf on a quiet pond. Inside, the Valkyrie crew moved with gentle grace through corridors that glowed with soft blue light. They were explorers, peaceful beings who had never known war or violence in their 1,000-year history. Tilvin stood before the viewing screen, his translucent skin shimmering in the starlight. The ancient station ahead looked dead, floating in the void like a forgotten tomb. His senior officers gathered around him, their large eyes filled with curiosity rather than fear. "Beautiful," whispered one of them. "The markings suggest it is over 5,000 cycles old." Tilvin nodded slowly. His people lived for knowledge, for understanding the mysteries of the universe. This station could hold secrets that would fill their archives for generations. "Prepare the docking procedure. We go inside." The Valkyrie moved through the airlock with careful steps. Their environmental suits were thin, designed for comfort rather than protection. Why would they need armor? The galaxy was at peace. Violence was something they read about in ancient texts, not something that existed in their lives. The station's interior was cold and dark. Their lights cast long shadows on metal walls covered in strange symbols. Tilvin recorded everything with his scanner, his heart beating with excitement. Each corridor revealed new wonders, new questions to answer. Then they found the central chamber. It was massive, filled with technology they could barely understand. Towers of crystal and metal reached toward the ceiling. At the center sat a pedestal with a single glowing orb. Tilvin approached it carefully, his scanner humming as it collected data. "Fascinating," he said. "This appears to be some kind of control system." He reached out and touched the orb. The station came alive, lights blazed throughout the chamber. The walls hummed with sudden power. And from hidden panels in the ceiling, something emerged. They were drones, each the size of a Valkyrie, covered in black armor and bristling with weapons. "Intruders detected," a mechanical voice announced in a language older than the Valkyrie civilization. "Initiating defense protocol." The first drone opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed through the air. One of Tilvin's crew fell, his suit burning, his fragile body unable to withstand even a glancing hit. The others scattered, their movements clumsy in their panic. They had never run from danger before. They did not know how. Tilvin dragged his wounded companion toward cover behind a metal pillar. His hands shook as he tried to seal the breach in the suit. The Valkyrie had medical knowledge, yes, but they had no experience with combat injuries. Their world had no predators, no dangers that taught them how to survive under pressure. "Return fire!" Someone shouted. They pulled out their energy tools, devices meant for cutting through obstacles during research. The beams struck the drones but barely left marks on their armor. The drones had been built for war. The Valkyrie had been built for peace. More drones emerged. The Valkyrie fell back, running through corridors they did not know, pursued by machines that did not tire and did not stop. One by one, they became separated. Tilvin found himself in a small laboratory with 4 others. Sealing the door behind them, his hands moved over the control panel, locking every seal he could find. Outside, the drones gathered, their weapons charging. The door would not hold forever. "We are going to die here," one of his crew whispered. Her voice was flat with shock. Tilvin looked at his scanner. It showed 37 active drones between them and their ship. Even if they ran, even if they were lucky, they would never make it. His people were not built for this. They were fragile, slow, weak by the standards of a hostile universe, but they had one thing. They had technology. Tilvin activated the emergency communicator, setting it to broadcast on all frequencies. His voice was steady despite his fear. "This is Research Vessel Harmonious Dawn. We are trapped on an ancient station at coordinates 7-9-4 by 1283. Automated defense systems have activated. We cannot escape. We need immediate assistance." He paused, knowing the truth. The nearest Galactic Council forces were weeks away. His own people had no military, no soldiers, no concept of rescue under fire. By the time help arrived, they would be dead. "Please," he added, "anyone who can hear this, we need help." The message shot out into the void, traveling faster than light. bouncing off relay stations and communication satellites. It passed through the territories of a dozen peaceful species, all of whom heard it and felt sympathy but could offer no aid. Then it reached Earth. Commander Doyan sat in the operations center in Seoul, reviewing reports when the message arrived. He listened to the desperate plea, heard the fear in Tilvin's voice, and made his decision in less than 5 seconds. "Get me a response team," he said. Now, his staff moved quickly. They knew that tone. Earth had only been part of the galactic community for 10 years, and most species still avoided them. Humans came from a Class 12 death world, a planet so dangerous that the Galactic Council had been shocked to find intelligent life there at all. Within an hour, the team was assembled. Yunwoo arrived first, his face hard and focused. He had served in special forces for 15 years, had seen combat in places most people did not know existed. Jiyoung came next, her medical bag already packed. She had kept soldiers alive in war zones where death was the expected outcome. Minho appeared with his engineering kit, tools that could break through any barrier or repair any system. And Solmin, the pilot, walked in with the confidence of someone who had flown through planetary storms that would tear most ships apart. Doyan looked at them. "A research crew is trapped on an ancient station. Hostile automated defenses. They are not fighters. They will not survive without help." "Distance?" Yunwoo asked. 3 days at maximum burn. Then we leave now. The team boarded their ship, a military corvette named Indomitable. It was a human design, built strong and fast, covered in armor that could withstand punishment. As they broke orbit, Soman pushed the engines to their limit. In the laboratory, Tilvin huddled with his crew. The drones were cutting through the door. They had minutes left, maybe less. He did not expect rescue. He only hoped his message would warn others away from this cursed place. He did not know that help was already coming. He did not know that somewhere in the darkness, beings from a world of violence and death were racing to save strangers they had never met. He did not know that Deathworlders had heard his call. The Indomitable cut through space like a knife. Inside, the human team prepared for combat with the casual efficiency of people who had done this 100 times before. Hyunwoo checked his rifle, a weapon that fired solid metal projectiles at speeds that would punch through most armor. Beside him, Jiyoung packed medical supplies designed for battlefield trauma. Minho studied the station schematics that Tilvin had sent before communications went dark. The station was a maze of corridors and chambers, all controlled by a central intelligence that saw them as invaders. "These drones," he said, pointing at the screen. "They use plasma weapons. Light armor, fast-moving. How many?" Doyan asked from the command chair. "At least 40. Maybe more in reserve." Soman whistled. "That is a lot of angry robots." Yunwoo smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Then we better not miss." 3 days passed. 3 days while Tilvin and his crew hid in the laboratory, rationing their air, listening to the drones cut through the door one layer at a time. They had given up hope. The door was almost breached. One of the crew had already died from wounds that a human would have survived easily. Their bodies were simply too fragile. Then the Indomitable arrived. The ship came out of faster than light, travel right next to the station. Soman had made the jump with precision that would have terrified most galactic pilots. She brought them in close, docking hard against the station's hull. "We are here," Doyan transmitted to Tilvin. "Hold your position. Help is coming." In the laboratory, Tilvin's eyes went wide. He checked the scanner. The ship that had just docked was military, heavily armed, and according to the identification signal, it was from Earth. "Earth?" one of his crew whispered. "The Death World?" Tilvin had read about Earth in the galactic databases. A planet of extreme gravity, toxic oxygen atmosphere, wild temperature swings, and evolution driven by constant predation. Humans had clawed their way to the top of the food chain through violence and persistence. They were strong, fast, and durable by galactic standards. They were also known for something else. They helped those who could not help themselves. The airlock opened and the humans entered the station. They moved in a tight formation, weapons ready, each one covering a different angle. Their suits were thick and armored, designed to take hits that would kill most species. Their helmets had sensors that lit up the darkness. The first drone appeared at the end of the corridor. It opened fire immediately. Plasma bolts streaked toward the humans. They moved fast and smooth, dropping into cover positions behind metal pillars. The plasma hit their armor and scorched it but did not penetrate. The Valkyrie suits would have melted. The human suits held. Hyun-woo aimed and fired. The kinetic round hit the drone in its central processor. The machine sparked and fell, smoking. The other humans fired in sequence. 3 shots, 3 dead drones. They moved forward without speaking, using hand signals that they all understood. More drones came. 10 of them, dropping from the ceiling and emerging from side passages. They fired together, a storm of plasma that would have vaporized the Valkyrie in seconds. The humans scattered, rolled, came up shooting. Their weapons roared in the enclosed space. Drones fell in pieces. Jeong threw something small and round. It exploded, sending out an electromagnetic pulse. 5 drones dropped, their systems fried. Minho was already moving, placing charges on the wall. "Clear," he shouted. They ducked. The charges blew, opening a hole in the wall that led to a parallel corridor. "Shortcut," Minho said with satisfaction. They ran through the station, following the tracking signal from Tilvin's communicator. Drones attacked from every direction. The humans fought with brutal efficiency. They did not panic. They did not freeze. They were predators, and this was what they had trained for since they were old enough to walk. Finally, they reached the laboratory. Hyun-woo placed a hand on the door. "Survivors, step back. We are coming through." Inside, Tilvin pulled his crew away from the door. He heard a loud bang, then another. The lock shattered and the door opened. Light flooded in, and with it came the humans. Tilvin stared. He had seen pictures of humans, but pictures did not prepare you for meeting them in person. They were tall, broad, their bodies thick with muscle. Their eyes were forward-facing, predator eyes. Their hands held weapons that looked far too heavy for any civilized species to carry. And they moved with confidence, like nothing in the universe could stop them. Ji-young approached first. She removed her helmet and Tilvin saw her face. She was young, with kind eyes that contrasted sharply with the weapon on her back. She raised her hand slowly. "We are here to help. Can you walk?" Tilvin's translator converted the words. He nodded, not trusting his voice. Ji-young knelt beside the wounded Valkyrie, the one who had been hit in the first attack. She pulled out medical tools, scanning him quickly. Her face tightened. Internal bleeding. Severe burns. "We need to move him carefully." Hyun-woo checked the corridor. "We have maybe 2 minutes before more drones arrive. We need to go now." Minho helped Tilvin to his feet. The human was gentle despite his obvious strength. "Stay close to us. Do exactly what we say. Understand?" Tilvin nodded again. The humans formed a protective circle around the Valkyrie, weapons pointing outward. They moved as one unit, each person knowing where the others would be. Without looking, the drones came again. Waves of them, more than before. The station's intelligence had committed everything to stopping the intruders. Plasma fire filled the corridors. The humans returned fire, their weapons never stopping. Soman threw grenades that exploded in bursts of shrapnel. Minho sealed doors behind them, slowing the pursuit. They reached a junction, and Hyun-woo held up a fist. Everyone stopped. He listened, then looked at Minho. "Can you get us another route? Give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds while drones closed in from 3 directions. 30 seconds while Minho worked at a control panel, his fingers moving faster than Tilvin could follow. The Valkyrie huddled together, watching these strange beings fight with a skill that seemed almost supernatural. "Got it!" Minho opened a maintenance shaft. "This way." They climbed through spaces that were never meant for beings of human size. The Valkyrie fit easily, but the humans had to squeeze through, their armor scraping against metal. Behind them, drones poured into the shaft. Jiang stayed at the rear, firing controlled bursts to keep them back. They dropped out of the shaft into the docking bay. The Indomitable waited with its airlock open. Doyen's voice came through their communicators. 30 seconds until I detach. The station's reactor is going critical. Move! Hyunwoo pushed the Valkyrie toward the ship. They stumbled aboard, exhausted and terrified. The humans followed, firing until the last second. Soman was the last one through. Slamming the airlock shut as plasma bolts struck the closing door, the Indomitable tore away from the station. Soman flew with controlled aggression, dodging debris and pushing the engines to their maximum. Behind them, the ancient station glowed brighter and brighter, then it exploded. The shockwave hit the ship, throwing everyone against their restraints. Alarms blared. Soman fought the controls, keeping them on course. After a minute that felt like an hour, the shaking stopped. They were clear. They were a live dot in the cargo bay. Tilvin sat on the floor, his whole body shaking. He looked at the humans, these beings from a world of death who had just risked everything to save people they did not know. Jiang was already working on his wounded crew member. Her hands steady and sure, Yunwoo removed his helmet and looked at Tilvin. You are safe now. Tilvin tried to speak, failed, tried again. Why, he managed. Why would you risk your lives for us? Hyunwoo looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled, and this time it was warm. Because you needed help. That is enough. The Indomitable turned toward the nearest Galactic Council station, carrying its cargo of grateful survivors and the humans who had proven that Deathworlders were not monsters. They were protectors. The medical bay of the Indomitable was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitors. Jiang worked carefully, treating burns and fractures that would have healed quickly on a human but were serious for the Valkyrie. Their bones were light, hollow like bird bones. Their skin was thin as paper. She had to adjust every procedure because what would save a human might kill them. Tilvin watched her work with amazement. You have done this before. Treated other species. Jiang nodded without looking up. We trained for it. Earth wanted to be ready to help when we joined the galactic community. She finished wrapping a wound and moved to the next patient. Your people heal differently than ours. Slower in some ways, faster in others. Everything about you is different, Tilvin said quietly. He gestured at the medical equipment. These tools, they are designed for emergency treatment under combat conditions. My people do not have such things. We never needed them. You are lucky, Jiang said. Then she smiled. And also not lucky. Sometimes you need someone who knows violence to protect you from it. In the mess hall, Yunwoo sat across from two other Valkyrie survivors. They were eating carefully, their bodies still recovering from the stress. One of them watched Hyunwoo drink water and asked, Is it true that your atmosphere is poison to most species? 21% oxygen, Yunwoo confirmed. Most find it toxic, highly reactive. It ages you faster but gives you energy. He took another drink. Your world has 7% oxygen. We would suffocate there in minutes. You would burn up on ours? Yet you breathe it your whole lives. We evolved to handle it. Earth is not kind. You adapt or you die? The Valkyrie looked uncomfortable. We have read about your world. The predators. The diseases. The weather that can kill in hours. How did your species survive? Hyunwoo leaned back. We became the best predator. We learned to work together, to use tools, to think ahead. We turned our weaknesses into strengths. He smiled slightly. A human alone is fragile. Humans together are unstoppable. But the violence, the Valkyrie said. Your history is filled with war. Your own people fighting each other. How can you live with that past? The smile faded from Hyunwoo's face. We do not forget it. We learn from it. Yes, we fought. We killed each other over resources, land, beliefs. It took us thousands of years to understand that we were wasting our strength on the wrong enemies. He met the Valkyrie's eyes. Now we fight for others. We use what makes us dangerous to protect what is precious. On the bridge, Doyan spoke with Tilvin about what had happened. The Velthari elder explained the mission, the discovery, the trap they had walked into. We had no warning, he said. No defense. We thought the station was simply old, not hostile. The galaxy is more dangerous than the Council likes to admit, Doyan said. He pulled up a star chart. These abandoned stations. How many are there? Thousands. Relics from wars that ended before most current species evolved. Tilvin touched the screen, highlighting several locations. We cataloged them for historical purposes. Knowledge of the past. Someone is using them as weapons. Tilvin's eyes widened. You think this was intentional? Not just an old defense system? Drones that active? That coordinated? Someone programmed them recently? Doyan zoomed in on the station they had just escaped. Someone wants to make space dangerous for species like yours. But why? Territory, resources, power? Doyan shrugged. The same reasons humans fought each other. Someone thinks they can profit from your fear. Tilvin felt cold. His people had no concept of such calculated cruelty. They had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten evil could exist. The Council will investigate. The Council will talk, Doyan said bluntly. For weeks, months, how many more of your people will die while they debate? What choice do we have? We have no military. No warriors. We cannot fight. Doyan looked at him steadily. You have allies now. In the engineering bay, Minho showed one of the Velthari his tools. The alien marveled at the simplicity and effectiveness. These are crude compared to our precision instruments. Crude but strong, Minho agreed. They work in any environment. Extreme heat, cold, vacuum. Your tools are better for delicate work. Ours are better for survival. Everything about your species is about survival. That is what happens when you grow up on a world that tries to kill. Minho picked up a plasma cutter that the Velthari had, brought from the station. This is a beautiful tool, very efficient, but it takes time to cut through armor. Our kinetic weapons punch through instantly. Your weapons are terrifying. Minho's expression grew serious. They should be. They are designed to kill. But we control them? The weapons do not use us. We use the weapons only when necessary. He set the plasma cutter down carefully. Your people are builders, creators. You make things of beauty. We make things of strength. Maybe together we make something better. That evening, the crew gathered in the mess hall. The Velthari watched the humans eat, fascinated by how much they consumed. You need so many calories, Tilvin observed. High metabolism, Jiang explained. We burn energy fast. Our bodies are always ready to run or fight. Even at rest, you are prepared for danger. It is exhausting sometimes, Somin admitted. She was peeling an orange, the smell sharp in the recycled air. We sleep, but our brains stay partially active. Listening for threats. It takes training to really relax. Your lives sound difficult. Somin shrugged. It is all we know. You think your life is normal? We think ours is normal. Different species, different normal. Hyunwoo raised his cup. Two different normals working together. The humans echoed the toast. The Velthari did not drink, but Tilvin raised his hand in acknowledgement. He was beginning to understand these strange beings. They were not monsters. They were survivors who had chosen to survive together rather than alone. They had turned their violent nature into protective strength. Later, Tilvin found Doyan on the observation deck. The stars streamed past as the ship traveled toward the council station. Commander, Tilvin said, I must ask. What do you want from us? Doyan looked surprised. What do we want? You saved us. In my experience, such actions come with expectations. We expect nothing. Nothing? Tilvin could not hide his disbelief. Then why risk your lives? Doyan was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Earth is new to the galactic community. Most species avoid us. They find us frightening. Too violent. Too aggressive. Too different. He smiled sadly. Maybe they are right, but we wanted to show them something. That violence can be used for good. That strength can protect, not just destroy. That even Deathworlders can choose to be heroes. You already proved that, Tilvin said softly. Did we? Or will the Council see this as humans being reckless? Dangerous? Unable to follow proper diplomatic procedures? Doyan shook his head. We will see. But regardless of what they think, we made the right choice. Before Tilvin could respond, alarms blared. Summon's voice came over the intercom. Commander, we are receiving a transmission. Priority urgent. It is from the Valkyrie home fleet. They rushed to the bridge. The message played. Tilvin's face went pale as he listened. Doyan's expression hardened. The message was clear and terrible. A Valkyrie colony world was under threat. Ships had been detected approaching, ships broadcasting the same signature as the drones they had just escaped. Someone was bringing war to a people who did not know how to fight. 8 million civilians. No defenses. No hope, unless the Deathworlders answered the call again. The Valkyrie colony world was beautiful. Crystal towers rose from gardens that floated on artificial gravity platforms. Rivers of pure water flowed through cities built for peace and contemplation. 8 million souls lived there. Artists and teachers and scientists, who had never known fear. That was about to change. The enemy fleet emerged from faster than light, travel like wolves appearing from the darkness. 12 warships, each bristling with weapons. Around them swarmed hundreds of automated drones, the same type that had nearly killed Tilvin and his crew. They moved into orbit with the confidence of predators who knew their prey could not fight back. The lead ship broadcast a message in cold, mechanical tones. This system now belongs to the Clavathi Collective. You have 1 planetary rotation to evacuate. After that, all remaining life forms will be terminated. Your cities will be repurposed. Your resources will be claimed. Resistance is futile. On the surface, panic spread. The Valkyrie had no weapons, no shields, no way to fight. They began evacuating, but their ships were slow and few. It would take weeks to move 8 million people. They did not have weeks. They had 1 day. Tilvin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, his hands shaking as he watched the data. My people are dying and I can do nothing. Doyan looked at him steadily. You can ask for help. The Council will not arrive in time. I am not talking about the Council. Tilvin met his eyes. You? Your small ship against 12 warships? That is suicide. Probably, Doyan agreed. But we are going anyway. The question is, will you stand with us? Before Tilvin could answer, Doyan was already sending messages. Priority transmissions to Earth, to the Terran Space Authority, requesting immediate military support. The response came within an hour. Earth was committing forces. 3 destroyers, 1 carrier, 24 combat shuttles. They would arrive in 3 days. 3 days, Tilvin whispered. The attack comes tomorrow. Then we buy them time, Yunwu said simply. The Indomitable pushed its engines beyond safety limits. Soman flew like a demon, cutting through space faster than the ship was designed to go. In the crew quarters, the team prepared. They checked weapons, reviewed tactics, wrote letters they hoped no one would have to read. Jiang found Hyunwoo in the armory. We are going to die, aren't we? Maybe. He loaded magazines with practiced efficiency. Or maybe we win. We have done harder things. Name one. He smiled. That time in Mongolia? 50 of them, 5 of us. We survived. We had air support in Mongolia. Details. They arrived at the colony world with 18 hours to spare. The Valkyrie leadership met them with desperate hope. You are only 1 ship, the colony administrator said. Her name was Velrin, and she looked like she had not slept in days. 1 ship with a battle group coming, Doyan corrected. We hold until they arrive. Then we drive these invaders away. How? You have 1 small vessel. They have 12 warships. We have something they do not expect. Human stubbornness. Doyan pulled up tactical displays. We need to fortify your cities. Evacuate civilians to hardened shelters. Set up defensive positions. Velrun looked helpless. We have no defenses. No bunkers. No weapons. And then we build them. In 18 hours. Starting now. The humans worked like machines. Minho taught Velthri engineers how to reinforce buildings, how to create choke points, how to turn beautiful gardens into defensive strong points. Hyunwoo trained volunteers, showing them how to evacuate civilians quickly and efficiently. Jeong set up field hospitals in underground locations, preparing for casualties. The Velthri helped despite their fear. They had never built for war, but they learned fast. Crystal towers were reinforced with metal. Floating gardens were anchored to create barriers. Underground tunnels became evacuation routes. As the deadline approached, Doyan looked at what they had created. It was not much. Against a real military assault, these defenses would crumble. But it was something. It was better than nothing. And sometimes that was enough. The enemy fleet sent another transmission. Your time is up. Evacuate now or die. Doyan sent back a single message. This world is protected. Leave peacefully or be destroyed. There was silence. Then laughter. Cold, mocking laughter. One ship? You threaten us with one ship? You are either brave or foolish. Both, Doyan said. Usually both. The enemy attack began at dawn. Warships descended from orbit, their weapons targeting the cities. Plasma beams lanced down, striking the reinforced towers. The fortifications held, but barely. Drones swarmed like locusts, thousands of them. Hunting for targets. The Indomitable rose to meet them. Soman flew through the swarm with skill that seemed impossible. The ship's weapons fired in controlled bursts, each shot destroying a drone. But there were so many. For every 10 they destroyed, 20 more appeared. We cannot win this way, Soman said through gritted teeth. There are too many. We do not need to win, Doyan replied. We need to survive. By time, on the ground, the drones landed. They moved through the streets with mechanical precision, searching for targets. They found Hyunwoo. Instead, he had positioned himself in the central plaza with a heavy machine gun and enough ammunition to hold a position for hours. When the first drones appeared, he opened fire. The kinetic rounds tore through their armor like paper. Drones fell, sparked, died. More came. He kept firing. Velthri civilians ran past him, heading for the shelters. He covered their escape, his weapon never stopping. When it overheated, he switched to grenades, throwing them with accuracy earned through a lifetime of training. Explosions ripped through the drone formations. In the hospital, Jeong worked frantically. Wounded Velthri arrived in waves, their fragile bodies broken by weapons they had never imagined. She saved who she could, held the hands of those she could not, and kept working even when her hands shook with exhaustion. Minho was everywhere at once. When a section of fortifications collapsed, he was there to repair it. When a generator failed, he hotwired a replacement. When drones broke through, he fought them with whatever he could find. From plasma cutters to simple metal pipes, the battle raged for hours. The Velthri world burned. The defenders held, but they were losing ground. The enemy warships moved closer, their commanders confident that victory was inevitable. Then the sky split open, 3 human destroyers emerged from faster-than-light travel with perfect precision. They came in fast and hard, weapons already firing. The carrier deployed its fighters, small craft that moved like angry hornets. The combat shuttles dove toward the surface, carrying fresh troops and supplies. The enemy fleet suddenly found themselves fighting an actual battle. Human destroyers were built for ship-to-ship combat. Their weapons were kinetic cannons that fired projectiles at relativistic speeds. When they hit, ships did not just take damage. Ships broke. The first enemy warship exploded under concentrated fire. The second tried to run and was crippled. The carrier's fighters engaged the drone swarms. Human pilots flew with aggression that bordered on madness, treating every battle like a personal challenge. Drones fell by the hundreds. The enemy's numerical advantage vanished. On the ground, combat shuttles landed. Human soldiers poured out, heavily armed and ready for war. They moved through the streets with the same efficiency as Hyunwoo's team, clearing drones with brutal effectiveness. The Clavathi ground troops, confident in their superiority, met their first Deathworlders in combat. It was not a fair fight. Human soldiers were stronger, faster, more durable. They fought with a ferocity that shocked the enemy. They used tactics that the Clavathi had never encountered, moving through urban terrain like they were born to it. Because they were. Every human had ancestors who fought in cities, jungles, deserts, mountains. War was in their blood. Hyunwoo finally stopped firing. He was out of ammunition. Around him, the plaza was littered with destroyed drones. He picked up a piece of debris and prepared to fight hand to dash hand. Then a combat shuttle landed beside him. A squad of soldiers jumped out. The sergeant grinned at Hyunwoo. "You started the party without us?" Hyunwoo grinned back. "I saved you some." The battle turned. The enemy fleet, suddenly facing real opposition, tried to withdraw. The human destroyers did not let them. They pursued, cutting off escape routes, forcing surrender. Ship after ship went dark, their crews captured or killed. On the ground, the Clavathi forces surrendered. They had expected easy prey. They found apex predators instead. By evening, it was over. The colony was saved. The enemy was defeated. And the Velthari understood that they had witnessed something the galaxy had not seen in centuries. Deathworld species fighting not for conquest, but for the right of others to live in peace. The fires were still burning when Tilvin walked through the ruins of the central plaza. Buildings that had stood for centuries lay broken. Gardens that had bloomed for generations were scarred with blast marks. But the people were alive. 8 million souls who should have died were instead beginning to rebuild. He found Hyunwoo sitting on a piece of rubble, drinking water from a canteen. The soldier looked exhausted, his armor scorched and dented, but his eyes were calm. Around him lay the destroyed remains of 40 drones. "You held this position alone," Tilvin said quietly. "Someone had to." "You could have died." Hyunwoo looked at him. "But I did not. And neither did the people I was protecting." He took another drink. "That is what matters." In the hospital, Ji-young had been working for 16 hours straight. Her hands were steady despite her exhaustion. A young Velthari nurse worked beside her, learning techniques that her people had never needed. Techniques for treating combat trauma, for saving lives when death seemed certain. "You have done this many times," the nurse said. "Worked under such terrible conditions." Ji-young nodded. "War is my specialty. I wish it was not. I wish I could be a normal doctor, treating normal diseases in a peaceful world." She finished stitching a wound. "But wishes do not save lives. Skills do. Experience does. You saved so many today. My people owe you everything. You owe me nothing. This is what we do." Ji-young looked around the hospital at the Velthari who were alive because she had been there. "Besides, you are learning. Next time you will be able to do this without us. Next time?" The nurse looked horrified. "There should not be a next time. There should not be, but there will be. The galaxy is dangerous. You know that now." The Galactic Council arrived 3 days later. They came in their elegant ships, speaking words of sympathy and concern. They investigated the battle, interviewed survivors, examined the destroyed enemy vessels. They spoke of justice and protection and ensuring this never happened again. Doyeon listened to their speeches with growing frustration. Finally, he interrupted. "You are saying the right words. But where were you when the attack happened? Where were you when civilians needed protection?" The council representative, a being of pure energy named Luthen, flickered with embarrassment. "We were preparing a diplomatic response. We were following proper procedures. Your procedures would have gotten 8 million people killed. We understand your anger, Commander. But military action must be a last resort. Violence begets violence. And peace without strength begets death." Doyeon stood. My people came from a violent world. We know war. We hate it. But we also know that sometimes you must fight to protect what matters. Your species forgot that. You have lived in peace for so long that you cannot imagine evil exists. Luthen dimmed. What would you have us do? Learn, adapt, survive? Doyon pulled up a star chart showing all the abandoned stations in the sector. Someone is weaponizing these. Someone is targeting species who cannot defend themselves. The Clavathi were just tools. Someone else is planning this. We will investigate. Investigation is not enough. You need defenders. Warriors who can respond when talking fails. Doyon looked at Tilvin. The Velthari Elder and I discussed this. We want to create something new. A rapid response force? Multiple species working together, ready to help those in need. The council murmured among themselves. Finally, Luthen spoke. And humans would lead this force? No, we would be part of it. Fighting alongside others, not commanding them. Doyon smiled slightly. We have experience with violence, yes. But we also have experience with working as teams, with protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The council will consider this proposal. Consider it quickly, because the next attack is coming, and we might not be close enough to help. That evening a memorial was held. The Velthari gathered in the ruins of their central garden to honor the dead. They had lost 300 people in the battle. It could have been millions, but 300 was still 300 too. Many human soldiers stood at attention while the Velthari sang their morning songs. It was beautiful and sad, a sound like crystal bells breaking. When it ended, Velrun, the colony administrator, approached the humans. We want to build a monument, she said, to remember this day, to honor those who saved us. Honor your own people, Doyon replied. They showed courage they did not know they had. We will honor them. But we will also honor you. She gestured to the plaza. Here, where your soldier held alone against impossible odds. We will build something that reminds us that strength can protect, not just destroy. The monument took shape over the following weeks. It showed a human and a Velthari standing together, the human armed but at rest, the Velthari holding a flower. Around the base were inscribed words in multiple languages. They came from a world that tried to kill them. They used that strength to protect the defenseless. The ceremony to unveil it was attended by representatives from a dozen species. Many came to see the Deathworlders, these strange beings who fought for others. Some came with fear, others with curiosity. All left with respect. Minho was awarded the Galactic Medal of Valor, but he was not there to receive it. During the battle, he had volunteered for a mission to destroy the enemy command ship's control system. He had succeeded, shutting down the drone network. But he had not made it back. Doyon accepted the medal on his behalf. He stood before the assembly and spoke simply. Minho was an engineer. He built things. He fixed things. He made things work. His voice roughened. When he was needed to fight, he fought. When he was needed to sacrifice, he did not hesitate. He represents what humanity can be. Not warriors seeking glory, but protectors willing to give everything for others. The medal was sent to Earth, to Minho's family. With it went a recording from every Velthari on the colony, 8 million voices saying the same thing. Thank you. Hyunwoo, Jiyong, and Somin prepared to return to Earth. They had been gone for weeks. They were tired, scarred, and ready for home. But before they left, Tilvin found them. I want to join your rapid response force, he said. They looked at him in surprise. You? Hyunwoo said. You are a researcher, not a soldier. Exactly. You need people who understand different species, who can communicate, negotiate, explain. Tilvin stood straighter. I cannot fight like you, but I can help in other ways. I can make sure the right questions are asked. The right help is given. Jiang smiled. You would leave your comfortable life to travel with Deathworlders. You traveled to save people you never met. I can do no less. Tilvin looked at each of them. You showed me that strength and compassion can exist together. that violence can serve peace. I want to help others learn that lesson. Doyan, who had been listening, stepped forward. Then join us. We need builders as much as fighters. People who remember why we fight. The Galactic Response Initiative was formed 6 months later. It was a small force at first, just 3 ships and 100 personnel from a dozen species. Humans provided the military expertise and the willingness to face danger. Other species provided scientific knowledge, medical skills, diplomatic experience. They responded to their first call within weeks. A mining colony under pirate attack. The pirates expected easy prey? They found the initiative instead. The battle was short and one-sided. The pirates surrendered when they realized they were facing humans. More calls came. Disasters, attacks, accidents. The initiative responded to them all. They saved lives, stopped threats, and proved that the galaxy could be protected without conquest or domination. Tilvin served as their liaison, explaining human actions to species who found them confusing. He translated not just words but intent, helping others understand that these warriors from a death world were not threats but allies. A year after the battle, Tilvin returned to the Velthary colony. The city had been rebuilt, stronger than before. The monument stood in the plaza, now surrounded by gardens. Children played there, safe and happy. Not knowing how close they had come to never being born, he found Velrin tending the flowers. "They are beautiful," he said. "They are hardy," she corrected. "We chose species that can survive difficult conditions. They remind us that beauty can exist alongside strength. Like humans, like all of us now." She smiled. "We are learning, Tilvin. Learning to be more than we were. Learning that peace requires courage." That evening, Tilvin stood on the observation deck of the initiative's flagship. Through the window he could see Earth in the distance. That dangerous, beautiful world that had given birth to beings who chose to be heroes. His communicator chimed. Another distress signal. A research station under attack by automated defenses? It was familiar. It was the kind of call that had started everything. He answered immediately. "This is the Galactic Response Initiative. We hear your call. Help is coming." In the crew quarters, Yunwu checked his rifle. Gyong packed her medical supplies. Soman plotted the fastest course to the station. They moved with the casual efficiency of people who had done this many times before. They were Deathworlders. They came from a world of violence and death. They carried that strength in their bones and their blood, and they used it to protect life. Doyan gave the order. "All hands, prepare for immediate departure. We have people who need us." The ship turned toward the stars, toward danger, toward the unknown. Inside,